Well, we've had several days of on and off rain, and I'm pleased to say that there has been so much that we finally have a small amount of both standing and gently running water. I don't know if you can see it from here, but there's a bit of current visible right there, right up there. This is a seasonal creek. Some years, wet years, it'll hold water all year. This year it's been dry longer than any other year I can remember. I've been here on this farm since 2004 full time, so 19 years, and it's been the driest year ever. There's obviously quite a bit of silt in it, but that's acceptable. I'm so pleased to have water running in our creek again. The birds will be here, the creatures will be here. I love it. I'm so pleased. This place right here, let me get over here where a little bit more of the angle's different. I've got a thorn tree not too far from here up behind me that's got branches all the way to the ground that I need to prune up so that I can work under it. And I'm going to bring those branches down and I'm going to put them here to slow the flow here, catch some water. I've got another one of those upstream. I'm just so happy. This is so beautiful to see this water here. That little bit of video I just took of the creek showing some water, that's down there. This is high bottom, and then that down there is low bottom. And I've been doing a lot of mowing this last few weeks. I mow this ground down here a few times every summer. Chop and drop mowing. I leave all the cuttings on the ground. I usually don't mow it until it's about waist high, or about knee to thigh high. That leaves me a lot of tonnage of grass to drop on the ground, and then that absorbs water, slows down the, there's some, what it looks like, and it slows down the runoff rate and tends to make it soak in. Those white blooms up there, that's my rose mallow. I can see it's doing well. Here's a hickory. That's a 2-year-old planting from Missouri Conservation Department bare-rooted seedling. It's doing very well. Over here, that one's a red oak. I don't believe we planted that one. I think I just spotted that one when I was mowing it and stuck a stick there. This one's one of the chestnuts that I planted from seed. I guess it'll be 5 years ago now, maybe 4 years ago now. I'd have to look, I don't know. But I planted a huge number of those up on that slope, and almost none of them have survived. It's just been too dry and bright up there. They're supposed to want full sun, but these brutal dry summers, they've appreciated this. This is standing right on the edge of the riparian woods. And it's prospering. I'm beginning now to prune these a bit to change their growth habit to more tree-like. Although I never mow everything. I mow around milkweeds if I'm able to. I don't see right now any monarch children on there, but it's getting late in the year. There is some eating though. There's something's eating them. This one's going to have some seeds. My pink blooming rose mallows got a almost open blossom. It's got some others that are coming along. It's pleasing to see. The white blooming one is standing in a deeper draw below a better water catch, and as you can see, it's most grateful for that. This is such a beautiful flower. One I took a picture of the other day had a bumblebee inside it, which of course is just pleasing as it can be. It's a native Missouri wildflower. I got that from the conservation department. It's prospering. It's perennial, but it dives back to the root crown. So this part, but it grows more stems every year, and I'm pleased with it. That there's going to be a little bunch of cottonwoods. It's in a hole that helps to catch water and feed it into my swales. I don't know if I'm going to leave all of those and let them fight it out or not. I just haven't decided yet. For now I am. I originally plowed these swales. These right there's it's a little ditch. There's ground level, and there's in the ditch level. It's probably 6-8 inches deep. I originally plowed. I've surveyed these with a laser surveyor and a donkey cart. And I originally plowed them with a 4-8 end and a 1-bottom plow, and then planted along them. The upper hill ones didn't do very well. It's been so dry this past several years, and I guess forever, now, but you plant everything you can think of, and then you keep what survives. But I'm going to try to work up a donkey-drawn tool frame that will enable me to replow this, and also to take a single chisel plow blade and dig a deeper trench in which water can infiltrate into the soil. Continue to try to work that up. That right there, that's a hazelnut. Most of these shrubs along these swales are either hazelnuts or elderberries. That one there, I think, is a real young hazelnut. A friend came and planted some more this year. That's another milkweed stand. Various little mushrooms enjoy the mowed grass clippings that I leave for them. Everything enjoys the rain. Heaven knows I do. There's another chestnut. We're down in the bottom again. This is one that I've already begun pruning the lower branches off of it to get it to grow into more of a tree-like form. They're supposed to be trees. It's just been so difficult down here that they've had a hard time making themselves into them. There's low bottom down there. Got a happy bee here. I like these purple flowers. I don't know what they are. I've never taken the time to find out, but I like them whenever I see them anywhere out in the open pasture. I mow around them. The bees like them. Anything the bees like, I like. There's another chestnut that I pruned the day I was mowing. I keep pruning shears in my toolbox on my mower, and so, but I only pruned some of them because I wasn't sure how well they were going to prosper from it. I didn't want to gamble all of them. So far, it appears that they are responding well to the pruning, putting out more end growth. Nasty little beetles, but they're not emerging victorious over the trees, so I'm leaving them be. This one's another hickory. That one I started you with, that's prospered more than any other hickory I've got down here. But all the ones that are prospering at all, they please me. The woods itself it's all self-planted. Everything except what I've got here on the edges with the stakes That's all just self-planted. And that's a good thing. It's a riparian woods. Obviously, it's not all a good thing. I mean, you know, the honey locusts are just a ferocious man-eating, horse-eating monster. But this is what I prune. I take these and I cut off these lower branches, and then I put those in the creek. And because of all the thorns on them, they lock themselves together like Velcro, and they slow the water. They filter out the dirt. It's not a dam because they're not watertight, but they definitely slow the flow, slow the erosive power of it, and cause silt from the neighbors' fields to settle out. So they're my friends. I like them, even though they're thorn trees and I don't like them. So I'm like that. This one here is it's an elderberry. I didn't do all this pruning on this. Elderberries, I don't prune elderberries. I'll let them grow the way they want. But it's really, I think deer or something must have done a lot of eating off of it. Here's a white oak. This is probably a bur oak specifically. It's a member of the white oak family, but I've planted bur oak down here out of the tree in the backyard. That's probably what that is. If you're really in a bind, you can eat acorns. And one of the things I'm trying to make this farm do is just naturally produce food without any annual continuous inputs. There's another white oak. That's a different looking leaf. I'm not sure if that's a bur oak or not. Right here is another one of my places where I work extensively to slow the water, and it's working quite well. See that? You can't really get over to it too well, but that pile of wood over there, that's all just stuff I've put in. That's all various prunings and fallen trees and fallen branches. Now that over there, that's T-posts I drove in the ground, and then right across at the foot of them you can see a log that they've caught, and that's causing the water to slow. Something else I've done this past 2 years is I've come down and planted a lot of willow. I just cut from the willows that live around the farm, and I bring them down here and I poke them in the mud. Willows root well. And willows are a primary beaver food. So if I can get enough of this woods to be willow, then I have a good chance of getting beavers to move in. And if beavers move in, if they come up here in the spring and start dam building, then this will probably become a permanent creek instead of a seasonal creek. And that's one of my biggest hopes in all of life. These, you know, there's like old railroad ties and old fence posts and stuff here, as well as tree parts. But they'll all rot away. None of them are the sort of thing that you put in a creek and they wind up trash in the ocean. They're just temporary in the scale of geological time. They're very temporary. But in the meantime, they enable me to slow this water down and cause the, you know, see where that water looks like it's still running a little, but where it looks so still, that silt will be settling out. So instead of getting deeper after this rain, this creek will get a little shallower after this rain. That's one of my primary management objectives here. Another white oak. A couple years ago, we had a bunch of white oak seedlings growing under the bur oak tree in the backyard, I don't gather the acorns, and so they root. There's that, you can see the water down through there. There's quite a bit of water down there. That's really just, I can't tell you how much that comforts me. I've come down here after several rains. Anyway, I brought a bunch of the seedlings down here and planted them. You know, they'll feed us, they'll feed anything. I mean, you know, everything eats bur oak acorns. So, yeah, well, not everything, obviously, you know, but many wild things, including wild humans, can eat those. And so, there's another. Also, a friend gave me a bunch, and I don't know which are which now anymore because that's the way my memory works. But either way, this rain has come at a very timely period in life, and we just needed it so desperately. And it's come. I've planted some chestnuts out in there that I didn't stake because I wasn't going to mow them or do anything to manage them. It's just root hog or die planting, not just in here but in this whole woods. So I have no idea whether those will come up. Here's another one of these. That's such a pretty little flower. I get closer because it doesn't have a bee getting her breakfast. You can see there the water's trickling on through. There's a lot of Asian honeysuckle down here that needs to go, but I haven't addressed it yet. There's another little white oak. That one there is almost for sure just planted this year from the ones my friend gave me. Deep shade in there. I got some pawpaws down in there too, here and there. I don't know where for sure. They like deep shade. I believe this to be another chestnut. It hasn't done as well as many of them, but there's much less. The water doesn't come down off that long hill to here. And it's alive. I'm settling for alive. Another white oak. I'm pretty sure that's one of the bur oak seedlings I planted. You can see that's been nipped right off at the top by either a deer or a bunny. But it's living. That's good enough. These are wild, naturally occurring elderberries. It appears that they have done well this year in spite of the drought. A few years ago, the county came through here and sprayed poison on this whole stand, and I was afraid I'd completely lost it. But I cut the poisoned part off and said nice things to them and put this sign up, and appear to be sufficiently fortunate that they're still here. Here's where the creek enters our property. There's a little bit of water up here, not a lot. Little bit, you can see it in there. Little tree there. I don't do a lot real close to here to slow the water because this crossing floods during times of high rain. The creek used to be, the natural creek bed is literally right down that road. It just wound back and forth across this valley. And when they wanted to build this road, they pushed the creek over there. They built a low dike, but low, I say it's about 3 feet tall from road, or 4 feet tall from road. And that creek is completely straight, running parallel to the road there, where it used to wind down here. And then the water comes down off these fields at a roar. The county came up about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even 7, I don't know, and put this big black tube in. Used to be all the water had to run over to there and through this old-fashioned concrete culvert. But since they've accelerated the flow so much, and the people upstream have done so much land flattening and shaping, the water just comes down here 90 to nothing. So this could no longer carry it. So the water gets out. During a hard rain, you can't, my house is up on the top of that hill there, and during a hard rain you can't leave this direction. This part of the road from here past that blue barrel down there all floods 2-3 feet deep, 4 feet deep sometimes, 2 or 3 often, and really fast moving water. If you drove into it, it'd be gambling your life. So I don't do anything up at this end to slow the water, because the county would just come in and dynamite it, you know, because they want to make it so this road never floods, which is it's really stupid. I mean, you know, like everything they do up that way and everything they do up that way is to accelerate the water to come to this point, and then it upsets them because so much water comes here and floods the road. So they do all this to accelerate the throughput and tear my land up worse. So I let this first 800 feet probably just roar, except whatever falls in, you know, like any fallen trees I leave them in, but I don't do anything structurally to slow it. But then when I get downhill a little ways, then I begin to seriously work on slowing it. And it's working. It's slow, but it's working.